Hello, hello. I hope you are all having a fabulous Monday. I'm here today with a traveler's notebook layout, a pocket page notebook layout, using this beautiful One More Chapter collection from Wild Whisper Designs. This One More Chapter collection has just been restocked in the shop, so if you missed it the first time, you can head over and get yourself an order in so that you have it, and it's fabulous. You can also use my code DT Sara to save a little bit off your order. So I'm going to do a little surgery to this cut file just to make it easier for me to back it. I want to back it with this section of paper, and I want it to be backed fully. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive. I'm going to glue it down to that area of the pattern paper. And then I'm going to set it aside to dry. And while it's drying, I'm going to grab my pocket page notebook because I'm going to do a little bit of ink blending on the background. So I'm using Fossilized Amber Distress Oxide ink and my life-changing brushes, and I'm going to go ahead and ink blend this entire sheet of my pocket page notebook so that it is that same beautiful yellow that is in the collection. Next thing I want to do is I want to set that aside to dry. There's a lot of setting things aside to dry on this particular layout, which for me worked out really well because I was doing laundry and doing some chores in between things while it dried. So I'm going to grab my Misty out, and I'm going to grab my very favorite Wild Whisper stamps, which are these brush letter stamps. There's also a capital letter stamp that is just as nice, but the brush letters I have found works really, really well in a pocket page notebook. Also, as an FYI, the cut file that I'm using that says currently is from Cut to You, and you can find the link to that shop down below and also in the blog post because I will often link the cut files that I use. I'm just going to go ahead and stamp out some words. I'm going to stamp out reading, I'm going to stamp out meh, and I'm going to stamp out love it. Loved it, yes. And I'm going to stamp those out using Ulta New permanent dye ink, and then I just let it off to the side to dry. And now I'm going in with Vintage Photo Distress Oxide ink and my life-changing brushes. And I'm going to very, very lightly ink these words up. I didn't want the ink to be full strength, as it were, but I also didn't really want the stark white. And now I'm going to fussy cut. I left a little bit of the fussy cutting in so you can see how I do it. I move my paper, not my scissors, and I use a pair of lovely detail scissors from Close to My Heart. I have rather small, well, small-ish hands, and I find that these scissors are the very best. So I leave my scissors still and I turn the paper, and that helps with hand fatigue, and it also gets you a much closer, finer fussy cut. And those are my fussy cutting tips and my frizzy hair. Haha, how about that? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead here and just continue on fussy cutting all these words. And now I'm going to cut around my cut file. So I started by just cutting around the edges of the letters, and you're going to see here I get up to the part where I did some surgery on my cut file, and you'll see why I did that surgery in just a minute when we get up to that point. So this is going to be documenting 2 books that I read in June, and it's going into my June 2018 pocket page notebook. I'm still working through last year. I wanted to do a notebook for every month. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use my pen blade, and I'm taking out the areas of the cut file that I couldn't just trim and reach get into. And I am cutting on a mouse pad. I just love cutting on a mouse pad. It is not technically self-healing, but they're rather inexpensive at Amazon. They last a long time. I use them for stitching and everything else, but cutting on that soft, like, surface, I feel like you get such a much better cut that way. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this currently down, and then I'm going to take my reading. So the title, the subject of this particular spread is going to be currently reading. And then I have 2 books that I read in June. I generally read more in the summer than in the winter. So I finished 2 books in June, and one of them was Me Before You, and that's the meh book. If you've never read it yet, I won't give it away, but I just was very unhappy with the way that it ended. I didn't like it much. I didn't mind it up until the end, but I was really disappointed in how it ended. So that one just gets a meh from me. The other book is a book called The Letter by Catherine Hughes. If you have never heard of this book, I recommend it. It's lovely. It's a lovely little summer book. And I enjoyed that one very much. It was very easy to read. It didn't take long to finish. You know, you could probably finish it in a day or 2 at the beach. But it was really, really nice. I really enjoyed that particular book. My friend Kristen actually recommended it to me. And she actually recommended another book by her too, which I didn't get to read yet. I do have it, but I haven't read it yet. And it was called, the other one's called The Key. But I did read The Letter. Okay, so I am to save on bulk. I chose a pattern paper that I liked both sides of, and I'm going to use both sides of the pattern paper. And I have my little loved it there that I can put underneath the book. If you ever want to document books that you read, I always just Google the book and go into images, and then you can grab a picture of just the front cover of the book, and as long as you print it at 3x4 or smaller, it comes out good resolution, and there's no problems with it. You know, it's not pixelated or anything like that. So the next thing I'm going to do is I want to use some of the cut-aparts from the cut-apart sheet. I'm going to take this red one that says just one more chapter, and then I'm going to take the 5 that you see, and I'm going to stack them all up. I just made sure that the ones that had text were on top of the ones that were just patterns, and I made sure that I didn't put the 2 red ones together. And then that worked really well. I'm just adding a little bit more adhesive, make sure that everything's going to stay where I stuck it. And then I decide that I want just a little bit more detail on my pocket page. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and grab the branding strip, which is this lovely black with the white lettering. And what I really love is that the stamps that I used is the same font as the brush script in the collection, so it matches perfectly. And that's the font and the script that Wild Whisper uses for a lot of their collections. So if you grab those stamps, then you always have some titling and letter options that perfectly matches the font in their collections, which I really, really enjoy because I like things to match and such. And then they also do, like, see the plot twist, that capital letter, they have a stamp set that has that font too, that you can get from their shop. So I decided I just wanted to have a little bit of a border, and so I'm going to do just the top of the Loved It page, and then I'm going to decide to do the top and the bottom because the side of the pattern paper that has the Me Before You cover on it is very plain. It's a rather tone-on-tone pattern, so adding that little pop of black really helped to finish it off. And that will complete my Traveler's Notebook layout for today. thank you so much for stopping by. I hope that you enjoyed this, and please be sure to head over to the Wild Whisper blog if you'd like, or the Wild Whisper shop if you'd like to grab this One More Chapter collection. I will see you all again soon. Bye!